Hey, everybody. Today is January 29th. I'm Mr. Sheridan. This is Natural Resources. Hope you're all having a great day and ready to finish strong here before we go into the weekend. So yesterday, our project that was on the 6 different types of careers that you had a chance to look into at agexplorer.com, that was due yesterday. I hope you all had a chance to get that done. If not, that will be a requirement. Excuse me. That will be a requirement for your summative portfolio that's going to be due at the end of this unit. So if you haven't gotten that done, I suggest that you don't blow that off. Make sure that you go back and get that done because it will be due later in the unit as a summative assessment. So for those of you who are here today, we are going to transition into writing resumes. I have a presentation that we're going to go through, and I want to show you exactly what it is that I would like for all of you to be doing. If you will open up your Google Classrooms, you have a new assignment in there, and I do this all the time. Assignment number 49, how to write a resume. This is a copy of the presentation that I am going to go through. You will notice that this is called Resumes and Interviews. We're only doing the resume part today. So it's about half of the presentation and about half of this, which is a student guided notes taking session. So there's a whole lot of blanks in here. I would like for you to have this open and following along and filling in these blanks as we go through this presentation. It will help you as you are trying to write your resume. So you are going to be required to write a resume, as that will also be a part of your summative portfolio. You'll get to pick the job that you want to interview for, that you are going to apply for. If you're an upperclassman, this is something that you should be preparing for. You should be, whether or not you are headed to college, whether or not this could be something that you're applying for an internship. You could be applying for a summer job. You could be applying for, a full-time position with a high school diploma. Those are all things that this information can be useful for. So as we go through, I'd like for you all to have those student guided notes out. Make sure that you're following along with that. We're going to get about halfway through that sheet, and hopefully we will have a chance to really get into some good information here about why resumes are important and what they can do for you. So during this presentation, we're only going to do the first dot of this today. We are going to understand the components and characteristics of a well-designed resume. We will talk more about interviews next week. Today, we are going to talk about the word resume and career objective. We're not going to work on job interviews quite yet. So the reason that we are focusing in our agri-science class here, which is what Natural Resources is, there is a focus on jobs openings within the agricultural industry. As you could tell, or you should have been able to tell through your Ag Explorer project, there are a number of openings in the agricultural industry, and employers are looking for well-qualified employees that have numerous desirable characteristics. And we're going to kind of go through how to organize those and how to put those on a well-designed resume. Here's your definition of what a resume is. A resume is a brief document, keyword being brief, of a person's education, background, qualifications, previous experience, and skills, and is most often used to secure new employment. So what I want you to take from this is that your resume, while it is important that you include as much information on there as you can to give people the best information about who you are, what you've done, and why you're qualified for that position, it does need to be on one page. So you're going to try to organize your information as best you can and highlight yourself as well as you possibly can. And the goal of having a good resume is to get an interview. That's the whole purpose of having a resume that is well designed, that's organized, that doesn't have any spelling errors and that sort of thing, is so that you can get an interview. That's what our goal is. So the components of a resume. Your resume should include all of your contact information, your career objective. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. Your education and any professional experiences that you have. So for a lot of you who are still in high school, you're not going to have a tremendous amount of professional experience. You may have done some part-time jobs. You may have worked for family and got paid for that sort of thing. Professional experience can also be volunteer work that you're doing in the community, whether that's with clubs and organizations through school, 4-H and FFA, through your church, that sort of thing. All those things can qualify as professional experience, and they should all be on your resume. Then optionally, you can, or options that you can also do, and this would be especially for those of you who haven't had a chance to do a lot of professional experiences, haven't had a lot of opportunities to volunteer and do those sorts of things, so your resume is looking a little light. Then you can also put some qualifications or skills that you have, and you could also include your references on your resume as well. So we're going to get into now the 5 basic rules of writing a good resume. So the rule number 1, here we go. You need to summarize your unique value. You need to find a way, and the purpose of a resume is for employers to be able to pick you out of a stack of resumes that are all one page that is that high. So if they've got 50 or 15 in this example, resumes sitting on there, how is yours going to distinguish you from the rest of that group? And what that means is that you need to sell yourself. For those of you, there are some folks out there that are shy, that don't feel comfortable talking about themselves, or they feel like it's bragging. This is a case where if in order for you to go out and get the things that you want, you have to be honest about the things that you have done. So you need to be able to write all those things down and tell that employer why you are the person that they want to hire for that position. You need to be able to communicate with confidence, meaning that you need to be confident in sharing your accomplishments. We just kind of talked about this, the differences that you've made. You can't afford to assume that they're going to fill in the fact that you did some volunteer work, or that you came to school on time, or that you had 100% participation in class, or that you did all those things. Those are not givens. You need to highlight those things and highlight the things that you have done well that would cause them to see you as a valuable employee. So those are the things that's basic rule number 2. Number 3, this could have been rule number 1 also. You need to watch your language and spelling. I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that all of you know that you should not swear in a resume. But what I mean by watch your language, and what they mean, I didn't put this presentation together, but what they're talking about is using language that is appropriate and is for that particular job field. So we're going to work on keywords as well. That would be tip number 5. That's going to work into the language part of that as well. You need to be using language that's appropriate for the job that you are applying for, and that makes sense for the field that you're going into. If you're applying to be a computer programmer, if that's what you really like, you're going to use some of that language that is involved in coding. So you're going to want to use some keywords, and you're going to want to use some of the certifications that you have, and you're going to want to talk about those things. But at the same time, the person who is in HR, who might be doing the hiring, might not understand all of those things. So you need to be able to balance that line of speaking effectively and showing off your knowledge that you have, and also making it appropriate for anyone to be able to gain the knowledge that you absolutely know what you're doing. And then we need to keep it concise. So 1 page, that's all you get, 1 page. Okay, so formatting and appearance, this is the part that is really interesting and can set you apart from other resumes. That there's a way, without using crazy colors, without using crazy pages, without using wild and crazy things, to make your resume stand out and look professional and like you are the person that they want to hire. So we're going to make your name stand out. It needs to be big and bold, and at the top of the page, they need to be able to find your name without trying at all. That's the biggest thing that we're trying to get across there. There are times in certain situations that you may enjoy using crazy fonts. If you're putting together presentations for Mr. Sheridan's class, if you are doing demonstrations, if you're writing different things, there may be times for crazy fonts. Your resume is not one of those times. You need to be using very neat, orderly, and easy to read fonts. And they list a few here. Keep your type size relatively normal. Your name is going to be big. We want to see that, but then everything else needs to be an appropriate size. We don't want to make it hard to read so that it's too small so that you can cram a whole bunch of stuff on there and they need a magnifying glass to read it. But we also don't want to make it huge and look like you're just trying to fill up the page. The paper that you need to print this on needs to be relatively neutral, and you need to limit the length of your resume to one typed page. So your contact information at the top of the page needs to be large enough so that they can find it relatively easily, not as big as your name, but it needs to stand out and it needs to be somewhere where they can contact you very easily. You need to list all this contact information. I did want to throw in here about email addresses. Some of you may have let's just call it an unprofessional email address that you use as your personal one. And I'm sure that's not everybody, but if you do, your employers don't find that funny. So you need to create an email address with an appropriate name, somehow using your name or your birth date or graduation date or whatever. Typically, as boring as you can make your email address and as easy to use, the better. So be careful with that. We can get unprofessional in a hurry when it comes to email addresses. Some examples of how you can lay out your contact information. I don't know if I necessarily love any of these. I'm going to show you an example when we get done of actually the FFA has a job interview contest where you apply for a job that you are looking for and you have to do a cover letter and resume and turn those in. And Anna Mosier is competing in that contest as well as Megan Sorensen. And Anna has her resume all done, and I'm going to show you that at the end. I really like the way she did her contact information. We need to know what a career objective is, and every single resume should have a career objective. It's a one-sentence statement of what you are looking for in a career. So we're going to look at some examples of that on the next page. Depending on what job you are applying for, you need to tailor your career objective to that position. So if you are applying to be an architect, you're not going to say that your career objective is to, have a 9-to-5 job that is boring as can be and, and just makes a lot of money. That's not what we're talking about here. If you are applying for a part-time position, say that you're looking for a part-time position to, in order to build your skills and work with a fun team that makes it, that is a productive and can build your experiences as you go through high school, something like that. You're trying to put positive twists on all these things as you run through your career objectives. Another way that you can do that. It's going to clarify the purpose of your resume, and it's going to present a clear statement about your goals as a prospective employee. Here's some examples. I don't necessarily love all these. To obtain a part-time sales position in a clothing store, very short to the point. I guess it tells you what exactly that they're looking for. I probably would put something in there about who it is that you want to work with or why you would want to be a part of that particular place. I think a lot of these could probably be, at least this one, the top one here, mentions the business that you're being a part of. And I think that you could probably spice up all of these to make yourself sound more interested in that you want to be a part of a team and that you want to enjoy coming to work and that you're going to, enjoy what you do. Your education, you're going to put your name and the location of the school. For instance, myself, I graduated from Michigan State. I still need to put Michigan State University, East Lansing, Michigan. Most folks know where Michigan State is, but that's not the case with all colleges and universities. If you went to Aquinas College or St. Mary's or, there's a whole bunch of others that you need to put the location of that school behind the name of it, even if it's relatively common sense where it is. So you need to put your major, minor, and area of concentration if you have those things, when your graduation or anticipated graduation date. For those of you who are in high school who are going to be applying for jobs, you need to put your anticipated graduation date. And this is one of those things that we can talk about. Excuse me, I pushed a button. You don't have to include all of this information. If it doesn't help you, you don't necessarily have to include this stuff. If your GPA is high, I would definitely include it. If it's not, it's okay. You can still put your anticipated graduation date. You don't need to put your GPA. So it's totally fine, but their recommendation is 3.2 or higher, depending on the job you're applying for. I think if it's at least a 3.2, you should definitely put it on there. I'd probably, if it's anywhere above a 3, I might put that too. Other details, and then you're going to list all of the things that you've been a part of. You're going to put that in a different section other than your educate. Oh, I'm sorry. If you were on the honor roll, or if you were valedictorian, salutatorian, that sort of thing, that is going to go in your education section. Professional experience. We talked a little bit about how all the different things that can make up professional experience. If you were paid for anything, if you did an internship, your volunteer work, all of those things all qualify as professional experience. Then after that, then you can include all of the things, especially if they are helpful for your for this particular job. And the thing that you're going to use, strong action verbs. If you don't know what an action verb is, those are things that you're going to start every single sentence that is talking about yourself with an action verb. It's going to be something like managed team of individuals that went on to do this. You organized a fundraiser doing X, Y, and Z. Captained our sports team to a district championship. And you're not even going to put I. It's going to be the first action verb. Is going to be the first thing that you said. Finished or completed, or there's a whole bunch of them. So you can look up strong action verbs. There's a whole bunch of them, but every single line of your resume that is describing what you did needs to start with an action verb. Okay. References. So if you have a whole bunch of stuff that you want to put down, if you've done a ton of volunteer work, if you've been all over the place and you have enough things on your resume, you can simply put at the bottom that references are available upon request, or you can include them as an addendum. That could be like page 2. You could put them on the back of your resume. That could be something that typically you're not going to make it a 2-page thing, but if your references fit on the back, that might be something that's appropriate. But if you are struggling to come up with things to fill the page, you could put your references on that first page as well. You are not going to put your friends, you are not going to put your relatives as references. These could be teachers, youth group organizers. These could be previous employers, obviously. If that person is a relative, that's a gray area. If it's your only work experience, that could be something that you could include there. I would detail that is somebody that you are related to, though. But teachers, counselors, administrators, those are all good. Coaches are all good examples for people that you should be using as references. So we need to remember that our resume doesn't get you the job, but it does get you an interview. So that's what we're trying to get to here, is that you need to get to the interview part. That's what your resume gets you. Quickest way to get your resume thrown in the trash is to have spelling errors or things that it just looks a hot mess and it's not organized well and that sort of thing. So we need to make sure that you proofread and have 2 or 3 other people proofread your resume to make sure that there are no grammatical errors, spelling errors, that things are aligned, that it's organized and looks professional. And we're going to move into our job interview at another time. So we're going to skip out of this for now and head back. So I hope that you can make it through that notes section. You are going to have a resume due. I will have that assignment posted on Monday of when your resume and cover letter, and we may have something to do with interviews as well. But I hope that this gave you some reference points for what you can look to create your resume. Oh, I did want to show you Anna's really quickly, because I've seen it and edited it and looked at it quite a bit. This is an example of Anna's that she's going to use for the contest. We've talked a lot about a few different things on here. Her name is at the top and pronounced and in bold, easy to find in a big stack. Her contact information is also at the top in a little different font, in a little different place, so that it's outlined and easy to find. Her career objective, we talked about those. This is pertaining to the job that she is interviewing for. And then for her, she has these 4 sections down here that all have different places for the things that she has done that qualify her to be this, to get this job that she's looking for. So an example of a resume that I think is organized very well and laid out quite well, just so you can all see that. Okay. So with that, we'll get back with everybody on Monday about assignments that are actually due. For now, I do want you to have those notes filled in so that you have those as a reference. And we will plan to see everyone again on Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody.